napakalakas ng ulang kagabi.
Grabe. Ito na tayong pinakamalakas na bagyo. Oh! Oh! Oh!
Dawn broke over the southern Philippines, painting the sky a deceptive pale blue. Fishermen guided their boats through tranquil waters, unaware that beneath Mindanao's surface the earth was stirring, poised to unleash an unstoppable fury. At 9:47 a.m., the first tremor roared to life. In mere seconds, homes split apart, roads warped, and power lines snapped like threads in a gale. Screams pierced the air as people fled, clutching their children, the ground surging beneath them like a restless sea. Then a haunting silence fell. But it was only the calm before a relentless storm. Over the next 3 weeks, the Philippines would face a merciless onslaught. 4 catastrophic earthquakes, including a monstrous 7.4 magnitude beast that obliterated towns, twisted steel, and reshaped coastlines. Over 300 lives were lost, nearly 1,000 injured, and more than 100,000 left homeless as the nation buckled under the Earth's wrath. For a land battered by typhoons, volcanoes, and floods, this was a new terror, a primal force erupting from below. No warning preceded the chaos. No siren, no hint of the devastation to come. In Mindanao, the earth convulsed with a ferocity unseen in years. Buildings swayed like fragile ships, glass shattered and walls tore open. Panic swept the streets as people ran barefoot over trembling pavement, clutching children, shouting prayers, desperate for solid ground. Power poles crashed onto cars and clouds of dust billowed from crumbled homes. Seismographs across the Pacific captured the moment. A 7.4 magnitude quake, born 36 miles beneath the surface, powerful enough to warp steel and flatten fragile structures. Its tremors rippled hundreds of miles, shaking Cebu, Leyte, and even Davao. In coastal towns, fishermen sprinted inland as the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center issued a fleeting alert. For hours, dread gripped the nation. Would the sea rise to claim what the earth had spared? By nightfall, the tsunami warning lifted, but the devastation was already unimaginable. Hospitals overflowed, roads lay fractured, and entire neighborhoods plunged into darkness. Just when hope flickered, the earth struck again, the first of many aftershocks turning fear into a grim routine. What began as a single quake spiraled into a relentless nightmare. Over 3 weeks, 4 massive earthquakes ravaged the Philippines, each blow landing before wounds could heal. On September 30th, a 6.9 magnitude quake tore through Cebu and Leyte, toppling centuries-old churches and splitting bridges like brittle glass. People fled to open fields, watching their skylines crumble under choking dust. 10 days later, on October 10th, the true Titan struck, a 7.4 magnitude quake off Mindanao's eastern coast, the strongest in recent memory. The shaking lasted less than a minute but felt eternal. Along the shore, the ocean recoiled, exposing the seafloor, then surged back, pounding homes with relentless waves. Villages vanished under landslides, highways fractured, and hospitals became makeshift shelters. Aftershocks, a 6.7, then a 6.0, reignited terror with every rumble. For Mindanao and the Visayas, the ground never felt steady again. Sleepless nights blurred into days as families fled at every tremor. By October 17th, when a 6.1 quake hit, panic had given way to bone-deep exhaustion. The Philippines, forged in the crucible of storms and volcanoes, now faced a new adversary, the Earth itself. By mid-October, the Philippines was a shattered landscape. From above, the islands looked torn apart. Highways split, entire blocks swallowed by landslides, rivers stained with mud and stone. In Mindanao, neighborhoods lay in ruins. Concrete homes collapsed like card towers, wooden houses swept away by landslides that buried families in seconds. Over 300 were dead, nearly 1,000 injured, and more than 100,000 homeless. In Surigao, rescuers clawed through rubble with bare hands, calling names that met only silence. In Butuan, power lines dangled like broken webs over flooded streets where people waded chest-deep through mud, searching for fragments of their lives. In Cebu and Leyte, schools and churches, once sanctuaries, were reduced to rubble. Hospitals overflowed, doctors working by flashlight using bedsheets as bandages. Impassable roads forced ambulances to navigate debris-strewn paths, carrying patients on stretchers. Across the south, villages were cut off, trapped behind collapsed bridges and landslides that sealed mountains like fortresses. For millions, the disaster didn't end when the shaking stopped. It was just beginning. Without water, electricity, or shelter, survival became a desperate race. Parents sifted through wreckage for food while children sat silently beside their ruined homes, too terrified to sleep. The Philippines had endured storms, but this was different. The earth itself had turned traitor. The Philippines' fate is written in its geology. Straddling the Pacific Ring of Fire, a volatile arc from California to Japan, home to 90% of the world's earthquakes and fiercest volcanoes, the nation sits where the Philippine Sea Plate and Eurasian Plate collide with cataclysmic force. Decades of pressure build until the rock shatters, sending shockwaves through the earth. The quakes in Mindanao weren't random. They were the planet's pulse, a reminder of humanity's fragility. Seismologists from the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology called it a seismic sequence, a chain reaction of shifting fault lines beneath the sea. They warned of heightened seismic stress across the southern Philippines, a restless period that could linger for weeks or months. For scientists, it's a chance to probe the Earth's restless nature. For those living it, it's the sound of walls cracking in the night, the ground betraying their feet. On the map, the Philippines is a scattering of islands. To the planet's tectonic heartbeat, it's a battleground where fire meets water and life is lived one tremor at a time. In Surigao, families stood before the ruins of their homes, staring at heaps of concrete and splintered wood. Some wept silently. Others dug desperately for a photo, a chair, any trace of normalcy. In Tandag, classrooms turned shelters housed children clutching dust-covered toys, huddling beside parents. At night, when the ground trembled, silence shattered into sobs and prayers. "We can't sleep," one teacher whispered. "Every time the earth moves, we run." Across Mindanao, the story repeated. Shattered towns, endless fear, and exhaustion beyond words. Power outages stretched for days. Water lines lay broken. Hospitals brimmed with the wounded. People lined up for miles under a scorching sun, clutching buckets and bags for food and medicine. Along the coast, fishing boats, lifelines for countless families, lay splintered, scattered miles inland. For many, it wasn't just homes lost, but futures erased. Yet, amid the wreckage, resilience flickered. Neighbors shared scarce food, water, and blankets. Volunteers carried the elderly through flooded streets. Children swept debris from roads. Even in the darkest moments, the Filipino spirit stood unyielding, a testament to what endures when all else crumbles, people holding fast to one another. As aftershocks faded and dust settled, a heavy silence blanketed the Philippines, the kind that follows utter devastation. The skies cleared, the air stilled, but beneath the surface the earth kept stirring. The next quake was already brewing. Ramil, Mindanao, Cebu. They're no longer just names, but scars, reminders of life's fragility when the ground betrays us. For those who lost homes, families, and security, rebuilding is more than bricks. It's about trusting the earth again, believing tomorrow will hold. But this isn't just the Philippines story. It's a warning etched in dust and stone for every city on the Pacific's trembling edge. Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, Anchorage, where fault lines lie silent but alive. Pretending it won't reach us? Your thoughts, your stories keep this alive. Because when the next quake comes, and it will, awareness might just save us.